Okay, we also learned in the second session of this course that while a steady flow of immigrants characterized the early 19th century, a torrent of people are going to arrive between 1840 to 1860. And historians identify this as the first Great Wave. Now, the surge in population came from the new national origins of the majority of immigrants. Before this era, most immigrants and those who had been part of the American experience had been Protestants. Now, the majority in the first Great Wave are Irish immigrants of the Roman Catholic faith and German immigrants of the Jewish background. So cultural conflict and economic competition ensued. And as is frequently the case with immigrants, the Germans, Irish, and others who arrived in the 1840s and 1850s are going to concentrate in northeastern cities instead of spreading themselves evenly across the country. The Germans and the Irish concentrated in three major cities: New York, Philadelphia, and Boston. So the growth of the cities and the increasing volume of immigrants created a new dynamic in the history of immigration. Cities came to overlap with immigrant ethnic populations. And as unregulated industrialization proceeded apace, the quote-unquote problems of the cities were often veiled in ethnic references to immigration and their descendants. And because of their language, because of their religion, immigrants in the first Great Wave began to challenge the dominant culture of the United States, at least as it was concentrated in the cities. For the most part, the immigrants coming in were unskilled, and they were coming from rural communities. The needs of the U.S. economy required their labor. The needs of the U.S. economy required their willingness to work. So the level to which they succeeded economically varied with the cycles of boom and bust in capitalism. And up until 1840s, the states and territories that the U.S. acquired sought populations. So the majority of the United States majority of those United States that was born in the U.S., that population lived in rural areas. But it was immigrants who stayed in the cities. So when they came in, they did not challenge the economic well-being of the majority of the U.S. born. But what happened was those who were living in cities became to feel their presence. And so in the 1850s, anti-immigrant mobilization appeared in the guise of a political party. And it gave us a concept that is still operative today, and that is nativism. So students, please understand this concept. It comes from the White Beans. The nativist experience. The first nativist movement in the United States became known as the American or the Know-Nothing Party. Its agenda was a concern about immigrants, particularly about the cultural and political differences that the Know-Nothings perceived coming from immigrants. One of their demands was for an extension of the period prior to naturalization from 5 years to 21 years. And the party reached its peak in the 1856 election, but it never strongly influenced national immigration policy. Its decline came at the onset of the Civil War because the Civil War reshaped U.S. politics and the party system. Concern over immigration policy in the 1850s was lost in the bigger controversy that we will explore next week over what to do with the involuntary immigrant, basically the black beans, the slave. So the concern over the white beans kind of dissipated over the concern over black beans. Now we're going to go to a scene from the Gangs of New York, and we will witness Daniel Day-Lewis as he portrays the best impersonation of an American nativist, racist, Protestant, and anti-Catholic coming out of the Hollywood movie industry. Now, get to understand this, because when whites, when they get into roles, boy, they can really be a good nativist and racist. So let's take a look at this particular clip.
That's the building of our country right there, Mr. Cutting. Americans are borning.
I don't see no Americans. I see trespassers. Irish hops. Do a job for a nickel what a nigger does for a dime, and a white man used to get a quarter for.
What have they done? Name one thing they've contributed.
Votes. Votes, you say? They vote how the Archbishop tells them, and who tells the Archbishop? Their king in the pointy hat, what sits on his throne in Rome.
Bill's got mixed feelings as regards the Irish.
Bill, deliver these good and fervent folk to the polls on a regular basis, and there'll be a handsome price for each vote goes Tammany's way.
My father gave his life making this country what it is. Murdered by the British with all of his men on the 25th of July, Anno Domini 1814. You think I'm gonna help you befoul his legacy? By giving this country over to them what's had no hand in the fighting for it? Why, because they come off a boat crawling with lice and begging you for soup?
You're a great one for the fighting, Bill, I know. But you can't fight forever.
I can go down doing it.
And you will.
What did you say?
I said you're turning your back on the future.
Not our future.
That document makes you a citizen. This one makes you a private in the Union Army.
Okay, so let's understand certain experiences with regards to the immigrant, especially at that time, known as nativism, the Know Nothing Party. Again,